Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, super glad you're here today.
We're really excited to have you here today because we are going to be talking about a brand new awesome feature that Greg put into this system that allows you to delete yet another expense from your monthly budget to let you sleep easy, work easy, rest easy, knowing that you can learn one platform that does everything that you need, that you don't need to zap and duct tape things together, because now you can have beautiful branded emails from right inside of AttractWell. So today we're going to be talking about the brand new email builder feature. We're going to share some best practices. We're going to share some insights that you may or may not be aware of, and some cool new sort of features that are bundled in with this that you might really enjoy. You are someone who sends email, or you are someone who should, if you're watching this. Today, we're going to be getting into some of the features of this builder. And I want to go ahead and note here up at the top, there's a lot that we can do with this. And I recognize that particularly where design is concerned. And so we are going to actually have a second session dedicated to design and systems that allow you to utilize branded features like this in a way that is very optimized for your time and efficiency. And we'll be doing that next week as well. So today is going to be an overview. Next week will be a design workshop on email. Go ahead and head into the chat. Let us know what you are excited to learn about today. Have you sent out pretty emails before? Have you tried it with AttractWell yet? We've had this available for about a week now. Again, we are really just so thrilled to have this and to have you here with us here today. So I have some slides prepared for you. We're going to be going back and forth through a demo here. So Greg and I are going to come out of video so we can get a nice little recording quality on the here we go for YouTube. All right, excellent. Again, thank you guys for being here. Really thrilled to have you. And today we are going to be talking about the AttractWell email builder. So today we're going to talk about how you can send polished professional emails without spending hours upon hours on design. And particularly, I think importantly, I don't want you to have to engage with design on a week by week basis. This should be something that you set up once and that you maybe engage with on a quarterly basis. We'll get into more of that in terms of optimization of how you work next week. But some really cool stuff here today. So you can send these polished, branded professional emails. You can set up your email addresses, plural, from names and your from names, right? So that your messages build trust. We'll talk about what that looks like as well. It's an exciting feature. You also have preview text available for email now with this email builder, meaning there is a little bit of extra opportunity for you to increase your open rates. We'll also talk about using templates and also template sections that you can reuse, and some simple best practices that keep your emails effective and deliverable, because that is the point of email at the end of the day. And of course, we have our live help and Q&A as always. So as we are here on the call and you have questions, please feel free, pop those into the Q&A feature here on Zoom. If the questions get into the chat, there is a definite possibility that I might miss those questions. So if we can get those into the Q&A, I can make sure I answer them. And Greg as well. Greg's here to answer questions, and he built the thing, and he's super qualified, obviously. All right. So if you would like to join us on a future call, such as our design workshop for email next week, you can go to attractwell.com/office hours to do that. If you would like to get live help or hands-on or a review of what you're doing, attractwell.com/work review gets you a spot in the second half of one of these Thursday calls where we can work together on whatever you like. If you need a hand, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge, and you could also hand off these projects to our team who can take care of them for you. All right. So today, again, super excited. We have a drag and drop email builder in AttractWell now. It's ready for you to use. I think some of us have started playing around with this already. It's very easy to use. There's a lot of control built into it. You can really dial it in exactly how you want it. So this new block style email builder is now the default editor in AttractWell, but we do still have the classic email editor available. So let me go ahead and just address this at the top. If you went in to send an email and got really confused because you don't know what this stuff is and you just want the thing that you used to have, don't worry, it's still there because it's still very useful, right? So if you wanted to send a message and you go to write an email, You're going to see all of this stuff right here, all these templates that we made for you. And there should be more even next week before we get into our designs. But what I want you to do, if you just want to send a plain regular email, just go down here to where it says use the basic email editor, and you'll see something very familiar right here. If you're building out a campaign and you would prefer to use a simpler message, we can go over here to our list of campaigns. I'm going to go create a new one just so you can kind of see how this works. All right. So when I go to add a new message to this campaign, you'll see here that there is no message body. You can click edit email, and this will take you to the block style builder, this drag and drop builder. We'll get to that later. But if you would prefer to just use the basic email editor, there is an arrow right here that if you click it, you can edit this email in the basic email editor. So click that, and again, you'll be able to use your saved replies. You'll be able to do all the stuff that you normally would do in a message body like this. This is the original AttractWell editor, still has tremendous value. And of course, you can choose to use this in lieu of the email builder that we'll be talking about here today whenever you like. So that is still there. Now you know where to find it if you need it. Now, this builder is going to make it easier for you to create visually stunning emails that are still highly deliverable. And we'll talk about some best practices because obviously I can't control what you're doing, but I want you to be able to control for best practices. So you have this email builder that's in AttractWell now. And guys, I just want to point something out here. I mean, obviously, for those of you who already get it, you see it, you have decided to bring your business to AttractWell, you understand, especially if you've used other platforms in the past, how much value you get packed into this platform, including with, all of the support and the training and everything that we provide that would be worth lots of money on its own if you just wanted to purchase information. But if you were to go to MailChimp or Flowdesk today, you would pay the same amount of money for one feature from them that you would get for an entire fully featured basic plan in AttractWell. For the same price you pay for Flowdesk, you can get everything AttractWell has in a basic plan. And that even includes the ability to sell a course inside of a member area. Just it's crazy, right? So you just want you guys to understand how big of a deal this is and how much money you're saving. All right. So email addresses and from names are another really cool feature of this. So you are able to now send from different addresses. So maybe you have multiple email addresses on your domain, or maybe you just want to change up how your name shows up in the inbox, which I am a huge advocate for, because pattern interruption is the name of the game. And if they're used to just seeing your name as your name is written and your contact information in AttractWell, but maybe sometimes you want to show up and call yourself something different just to catch them off guard so that they pay attention and open that email, you can do that too, which is pretty cool. So this allows you to send from multiple addresses on your domain, to choose how your name appears in the inbox to build that recognition, and if you want to create pattern interruption, like I was just mentioning. And you can use different names and addresses for different audiences, right? So if you want to communicate differently, including from a different email address for your clients versus your leads, you can do that. And that is now possible with AttractWell. You can now use multiple email addresses. This is so cool. All right, so come down here. If you want to learn how to do this, you're going to go down here to your content library. This is where our email templates live. And this is where you can choose the from address when you're sending a particular style of email, when you build out a template. So these are all templates that you can use that we've created for you. Many of them have Canva files where there are images, such as here. But let me X out of this, but you also can just start from scratch. So I can go add template, just hit the X here, and you can see that it's going to pop in my signature and a place for me to start writing, right? Um, Pretty cool. Okay, but here's what we're really here for. We're going to go to the overall settings here. Here's our from address. Now, right now, I just have jane@attractwell.com. Let me go over here to my emails. And real quick, by the way, if you want to control this outside of just going to the editor, just go to my account settings and click my email addresses. All right, so I currently have just the one. Maybe I want to add a new one, and it's going to be the same from jane@attractwell.com. But I'm going to call this your friend Jane and click add. Right now, I need to go and verify uh, basically just click a link in the email that it's going to send. And once I have that and I click it, then this will turn to a green yes. And this will now be an option for me from this drop down list here. And this means that every time you send this particular style of email, it's going to come from this from address, which again is really exciting. So you could create a template that is just for your member area, right? Maybe you only use it for your member area and for your clients. So anybody who has paid you is going to be getting emails from a particular address. Maybe the from name is slightly different. There's my confirmation email. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And there it is. It looks just like that. It's as simple as that. Of course, if you have other, maybe you have members at your domain.com or dot whatever, right? You can have those attached here as well. You can send from those. Really, really cool, exciting stuff. All right. So that is our from names and our send addresses. Super cool. Now, there's also a really neat feature. You may be familiar with this if you've used other email builders in the past. This is built into our new email builder. This is preview text. Now, essentially what this is, it's very similar if you're familiar with like meta descriptions for pages and blog posts. Essentially, it's just giving you a little bit of space for copy to help boost your open rates. So this is text that's going to show up next to your subject line and your name in the inbox where your emails land. And this feature is available in the new builder. And when you use this intentionally, you can increase your open rates with it, or you can provide a better likelihood that someone might click through. So if you use maybe a fairly static title, such as like a title of a newsletter that you release. Maybe you want to use in this preview text just a little bit of copy that helps them to understand how different this particular issue is than your previous ones, right? A lot of cool stuff you can do with that. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. You're not going to find it here in your email templates because these are really meant to be a thing that you use to send later. So I'm actually going to go and exit here. And let's go pretend like I am writing a message to my list. I'm going to send an email to my list. I'll go up here to send email, just one message, and I'm going to search for my newsletter, tagged people, my general mailing list. I'm going to go select the template that I want to use. Maybe this is for my newsletter, and this is the one that I've created, and I want to use this one. Well, now I put my subject line in here. I put my preview text in here, right? And you'll see, and you could actually adjust here based on before you send. It would be default from like whatever your setting is. But right here, before you send, you can actually say, I actually want this to go out from this one versus another one, right? And you can do this in the campaigns as well. You're going to put that subject in, put that preview text in, and now you've got a better likelihood of getting those opens in the inbox. It's just a simple thing that really can do a lot of heavy lifting. All right, now templates and saved sections are basically the core of how you're going to be using and interacting with this feature. So your email templates live in your AttractWell content library, right? So I'll go back and show you that here in just a moment. But it's basically under the same menu where you're going to find things like your photos, your videos, your saved replies, your images, right? So all of your stuff is there. And then you can create reusable templates for your most common emails. Now, that's something we're going to be getting into in our design workshop next week. You can also save sections of these emails to reuse later and save yourself some time. Guys, this is so stinking cool. Let's go. I'm going to pop out of here and just show you just a quick reminder where we go to actually start creating our own templates is to come right down here under our content library. Here's all of our stuff. Go to email templates. If you have created any for yourself, they'll show up here. I have not yet for Jane, so I'm going to add a new one. And I'm actually going to start with one that AttractWell has supplied for me. So I'm just going to open up this one that says leaf. These are not my colors. If I actually go over to my settings, you can see my different colors that I could choose here. I'll give it a little background color, kind of lifted off the page a little bit. But these are, I've got these bolder colors. So I want to change out this image and these background colors here. Maybe I want to change my message body background color to this blue, which you can't see. And that's for good reason. uh, here, I want to actually go into these sections. We can go into these sections and change these out. Same here. This is white again, and we can change the background color here as well. So once I go through and I change these out to make it my own, a matter of fact, I'm just going to delete this one and duplicate this one here, and look, it drags. Oh, so much easier. Put it right down here. And these are all images, like I said. So it's just a matter of going into Canva and changing those out. Let me duplicate this guy one more time and bring him down here. Delete. And then again, I can go in and just change out these using this link here, which takes me to Canva, where I can go and apply all of my brand colors that I want to use to these images. And again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here because we do have next week for design, but it really is as simple as going through, changing these out to what you want them to be, and then swapping them out right here. Right. And then once you have them, they're there, they're good to go. You can save this template. And so this is going to be a weekly newsletter. I'm going to save my template. And now, whenever I need to use a template, right? Whenever I'm going to go send an email again in the future, I'm going to be able to grab this from my list of templates that already exist. I can also, of course, edit it. Now, once I have made modifications, there it is. There's this very not cute, not finished newsletter template that I just shared. But let's just say, for instance, I really want to be able to just drop in information about my upcoming event or my upcoming blog post. And I like this formatting and I want to keep it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add this block to my save sections. And so I can use this every month and say this is going to be the blog feature blurb section. I'm going to save that. And then I can go ahead and do this as well for this event section blurb that I will also go save. And you can see it just popped right up here under sections. You can see it. It's there. I'm going to go ahead and do this here too, right? So this is going to be event feature blurb, save. And so now, again, I've got something that's pre-formatted. It's ready to go. If I want to talk about, maybe I'm emailing about something else entirely, but I want to be promoting an upcoming event, I've got these in my save sections. And if you ever want to see what all the sections are that you have saved, you can also click this sections button right here, and you can see everything that's here. You can rename them, you can delete them. Of course, if you want to update these, you would need to, import them into something new, change them, and then resave them as something with a new name. So yeah, those are your saved sections and of course your saved templates. Now, I wanted to call out a really important distinction because for any of you who've been with us for a while, you know that one of my favorite things in AttractWell is this feature called Saved Replies. And Saved Replies, it's such a cool thing. It's just basically an editor where you can write things that would go into an email, you can write things that could go into a blog post, a lesson, etc. For a great length, right? Like maybe a template for a blog post, all the way through to, just a quick line of copy and a link that's static so that you don't have to go back and find that link every time you need to use it. You just import a saved reply, right? So saved replies work for our basic email editor, always have, still do. And that works, of course, for blog posts, class, lessons as well. But the answer to the saved replies for the email builder are these sections. So as you are creating messages, if you come up with a section that you think would be useful for you to use in the future, whether that's preserving the formatting or being able to quickly insert a link that you always share, then you can, of course, save that in the sections for your email builder. All right, so let's talk about this for a bit, some suggested workflow and best practices. Again, next week we're going to get into more of this in depth because I really want you to understand not just how to use this so that you can create something pretty one time, but I want you to understand how to use this functionally so it doesn't the design doesn't become your day job. basically, right? You only need a couple of templates to really work well for your business, and you only need to know as much as you need to know. And I'm going to make sure that you know those things today and next week. So start with 2 to 4 standard templates for your common email needs. Obviously, create sections that can easily be inserted for things that you're going to repeat, right? Keep your design simple. At the end of the day, less is more is still the rule for email marketing. We have to make sure that our design is not overtaking the purpose of why we're sending, right? Being dialed in on branding is nice, and you can do that with this, and you don't necessarily sacrifice your send score or your deliverability this way. But it is really important still to remember that the ratio of images to text is very important, right? The email service providers are still going to be looking for, is this just a bunch of images or are they actually saying something? Is there substance here, right? Obviously, the copy that you're using, the language that you're using is important, but make sure that if you're using images, that you aren't overdoing it, right? And where you are using images, you always want to use alternate text. Why is that? This is actually really critical. A lot of folks, especially who are going to be checking their emails on their phone, they are potentially, if they're in a low data area or if their settings on their phone work this way, they may not see this image. This image right here, or yeah, I'm sharing this. Okay. Yeah, this image right here, it looks nice on mobile, right? It looks nice on desktop. But for people who aren't loading images, it's not going to show anything at all unless you go in and you use this alternative text. So I put my newsletter name here. I, of course, your newsletter name is not going to be newsletter name, but put the name of your newsletter here. This image here says on the blog. Guess what? This does too. Alternative text says on the blog. Because if somebody isn't getting images in their email, we want to make sure that they know what that image was supposed to convey. Okay? Really, really important. And when you use like a mail tester, which we'll talk about here in just a bit and certainly focus on next week as well, it will flag those things for you. Now, remember, if this is all just new, overwhelming, doesn't fit your goals right now, you can keep using that text-focused email editor. Okay, it works great. It always has. It is going to get you really great results in terms of deliverability because it looks like when you write something in our regular email editor, it looks like something you're sending to a friend or colleague, which is the kind of thing that email service providers prefer, right? So you can still use that. But what Greg was able to do here with this block style builder is to give you all of the beautiful impact of design without creating something that is so over formatted that the inbox providers think that you are just someone who's promoting stuff, right? So you're going to be able to use this, but if you aren't ready to, you can still use the thing you used before. And remember, just always, design is something that should be supporting your message and not distracting from it. All right. So I want to get into some live help and Q&A here. If you guys have any questions, please make sure that those are getting into the Q&A. I'm actually going to switch over and let's do a little bit of a demo so that you guys can see how you can get started with this. Again, my recommendation is always going to be to start with email templates so that you can save some full template designs and some sections that are easy for you to pop in and place information where you want it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click add here. And I am going to just start from scratch. I'm going to X out of this. And you can see again, this is the signature that I have in my account settings. So let me just come over here to, sorry, my contact settings. Right over here, contacts settings. It actually imported a version of that over here under general. So you can actually see that that's right here. And Greg did this really cool thing where he makes it show up here. And you could choose to use this. You could also save different versions of this. And so you can actually swap out how you're signing off, whether this is for leads or this is for clients, customers, what have you. So there's a number of things that we're going to be going over next week, but I want to give you just a quick overview here. First, double click on the background here, and that's going to actually allow you to open up the overall settings, right? And that's where you can choose that from address for this type of template. I like using a light email background color because it provides a little bit of contrast to what you've got here, but it's not super loud. Because if somebody has a large screen, they're just your message is going to be showing up in a sea of like this blue color, for instance, right? Obviously, do what feels right to you. If you're a maximalist, more power to you. I'm not. I like using this kind of light gray color here. Obviously, you can use your brand colors. Highly recommend that you do. And make sure if you don't have those set up in AttractWell, you can come over here under your website and blog menu to colors and fonts, and you can go ahead and set those up there. Now, you also have some other fun settings here. I'm going to show you why I don't love using email padding. You, of course, can. I'm going to not. Do you see how that changed? I'm going to show you the difference. This is when it's like at 20, right? And I'm going to look at that on mobile. Do you see all of this margin that's on the side, all of this white margin on the side here and there? That's fine if you like it. If you want it that way, that's cool. I like to do this, and I'll show you why here in just a moment. Obviously, it's giving you more space, right? It's not wrapping quite as much. You can see a little bit of the background. That's fine. That's nice. But here's where this gets really cool. If you want to go over to blocks and you want to add yourself an image, let me go ahead and swap out for one that I may already have. Yeah, I'll use this one. Actually, that's the blog one. Let me replace that with the actual newsletter one. There we go. So it actually goes all the way to the edges, right? There's no like weird white line around it. If I go back to my overall settings here, if I were to increase here we go. My email padding, you would actually see that that image doesn't reach the edges anymore. And again, if that's your preference, if you like that, then go for it. But maybe what I prefer to do is have that go ahead and reach the edge. This is particularly nice if you've got like, something that's more graphic there. This is a Canva image that I have here. I do need to make sure I've got alternative text. So my image, right? Or my newsletter is what I would actually say there. Greg has done some really cool stuff that I want to show you guys. Obviously, there's going to be more where this came from, but let's just say that you wanted to add an image into a section. And I'm going to go ahead and click the insert image here. And I'm going to go find the one that I want to use. And I think maybe I'm going to use this one. I don't know if this is going to work for what I want to do, but we're going to find out. Maybe I actually want to use that as the sort of header image for my blog post, let's say. I'm going to use this really cool new tool that Greg added here called Add Frame to Image. When I click that, you can see that I can actually make these changes in all these different fun and interesting ways. So what if I did this? Obsessed. I love it. Oh, look at this. It's going to crop the image. And granted, this is an image that has text on it from Canva. It's not an optimal way to go about this. Ideally, you'd have a background image and maybe you'd have some text overlaid here. Um, but let's just give it a moment. It's a large image here that's being used. Oh, excellent. Okay, so if I go over here to this image and I select it, I want to cover with it. And you can see just how cool that looks, right? Isn't that neat? It's just kind of ripped on the bottom. I could also maybe, let me see if that would work here. If I swap this out, yeah, it added it to my, there you go. So here, how about I just do it that way? And isn't that neat? Now it looks like it's sort of like a ripped page before we start going into our text. So pretty cool. So let's just say I really like this and I want to use this. I want to plug it into other things that I use. I'm going to click right here and say add this block to my saved sections. And so this is going to be, oh, wait, before I do that, hello, alternate text. This is going to be the recharge, reclaim your time, energy, clarity. Obviously, I'm not going to do it that sloppily, but here, go to add this block to my save sections. And this is going to be the recharge header. And I'll save that. That's right. Yeah. And if you have a background color for the email itself, it will show up behind that. So if you want to get something that looks kind of layered, so if we go here to who doesn't love a ripped page? So if my email background color, oh God, please no, not that one. Sorry. That's the email background color. This is the message body background color. Maybe I make it this green. And then inside of these sections, I absolutely don't want all this business. This is not what I want here. So what I'll do here is the background color for this block. I'm going to make sure is this green. And I think that this just might be because of the way that my signature imported in. Let me just go ahead and create another signature. And I'm going to just do that with text. And I can go into my overall settings here, make sure because I've got this bright green that my default font color is something that has a nice contrast. There you go. Um, I can add dividers in here. I can make them larger. I can make them grooved or dotted or whatever, right? However you want to do this. Um, Let's see. So that's where I say what I want to say. Maybe I want to go in and add, aside from our saved sections, there are also system sections that allow you different column layouts. So if you wanted to have text on one side with a button and an image on another, you could do that. You could create yourself just using a text section. If you wanted a new style of signature, you could do that as well. If you wanted to add in a block that has your social media icons, you could do that here. And of course, those will populate for each of the platforms that you put the information into. Pretty neat, right? Super cool. And again, once you have this kind of stuff set up and you like it, maybe you've got a navigation one here where you might send them to your member area to something and then something else. Once you have something that's set up exactly the way that you like it, you can always say, all right, I know I want to reuse this. Let me go add this block to my saved sections so that I can pop this in to any other thing that I create. So let's just say, for instance, I really like, I don't know. We'll just pretend like it's this one. I did already save it, but you see how it's got this green background, right? This is really cool. When you go in to maybe edit or add something new in, and you go to sections, whatever the sort of background situation is, here's my blog feature blurb. It's going to behave just like the section, or sorry, just like the actual template that you're using, right? So if you set something up, for instance, if you created a template like this, and I wanted to maybe save this. So this is my save your seat button, and I save that section. Once this is in my saved sections, it's going to show up with the background color of whatever I'm using. So you see like these pink, they're right here. But if I am in a different, if I'm in a different one entirely, a different template with different background settings and all of that, it's going to import correctly accordingly, right? So here is another one. This one has Canva templates included as well. And so you can see like this color here. It works. It's the same color. It's actually importing with the sections, or sorry, with the settings of the email itself. So it's keeping the background color, the message body background color, and the font color. So it actually does sort of translate the content of your sections into the preset styles that you have for that template that you're working on. All right. I want to get into some questions here. And of course, anything that you guys want to see demoed, we can walk through it. And if you have anything you'd like to see done, we could certainly do that as well. All right. Erica says, still not clear here where I can find my saved replies when I'm doing plain text email. Yeah. So oh, actually, Greg, there may be a bug there. There may be a bug that we need to look at because I actually did just pull up campaigns and did not see saved replies above the, let's see. In campaigns, that was the case. Let me go see if that's the case if we go to our dashboard here, because saved replies should still show up. And if it's not showing up, then we'll take a look and make sure that that's resolved. Um, yeah, if we go to write email, I'm going to use the basic email editor. Yeah, it's saved replies is right there. So that's where you would find this, Erica, if you wanted to send a plain text email this way. So saved replies is there. I thought that maybe I didn't catch it when I was creating a campaign, but let's go take a quick look at that as well. Nope, saved replies are still here. Let me go to basic email. Yeah, you can still do saved replies and it still pops in everything that you would want to use. So those are still there. Okay, what would be a good number of sections to add to make sure clients can open it and don't feel overwhelmed with message and design? That's a really good question. So I like to think of newsletters. This, to be fair, understand that this is not for everybody. If there's a lot of things that you talk about and a lot of things that you do, newsletters are a great opportunity for you to find to basically deliver a blurb and then say, here's where you can go if this interests you. Blurb, here's where you go if this interests you. Um, if you are a newsletter writer and you are more of a writer, right? If you are more verbose, if you have more to say and really the primary value of the email is the email itself. In that case, I would just make sure that it's formatted in a way that it's easy to scan through. And you might still use some of those design elements to kind of break up the monotony of paragraphs and reading, because the better the eye can kind of roll through what's there so that they can maybe go straight to what they're interested in, or at least just to kind of give, for lack of a better word, breathing room for the eyes. Then you can still have more voluminous copy. But I do think that it's valuable, just like you would format a blog post or a website page with breaks of maybe images or sections, maybe different sized header text, things like that. It really does kind of help to keep interest because there's variability in what's being read, even if it's something that's longer. So number of sections is I can't say that there's like a hard and fast rule for that, but I would say for every couple of paragraphs, maybe two, three tops, I might consider having a new section title or just kind of breaking that down in such a way that it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to make it through all of this to be able to understand what's going on, right? It's sort of you're tricking their brain because their brain, our brain, yours too, mine also, uh, it wants to be lazy, right? Our brain wants to take the path of least resistance. That's why these things are so addictive because there are so many little ways to engage in dopamine triggers and just get sucked into those, right? And so our brain would much prefer when it looks at at a massive amount of words that need to be read. The very first thing your brain wants to do is not read. It's, okay, where can I find what I want in here so that I can be done? Right? Now, you can condition people to want to read, right? If that's your goal, you can do that with repetition. But one of the tools that you would be using, and this is again, it's true for blog posts, true for website pages, you're going to want to create that breathing room, right? So that it's easy for them to see that, okay, I'm about to embark on this, but it's organized well enough, right? I could flip to where I want to go. Think about it almost like it's scroll through the whole thing and imagine a table of contents. So so yeah, you want to provide those sort of visual pattern breaks so that the brain doesn't look at it and say, this is work. That's really the goal. All right. With all the new templates, have a border around them so that on desktop they'll show in the middle of the screen and not close to the edge. So Sharon, this is a good question, and let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I'll get into a little bit more detail about this next week and sort of some of the design choices that you can make. But I will actually, let's see. I'll just use the email templates here in this account and I'll show you. So, um, first things first in the settings, and I will use this one, this graphic gray, as an example. So this is one where do you see how the background of this email is white, the text is black, and there is no padding around really the email itself, and there isn't a border per se either. So this is, unless you choose in the settings for this to be left aligned, this will show up centered in whatever the email field is that they have open. Right. So this will show up centered as default, but you could choose for this to show left, and you can see how this now shows up left, right? Uh, on mobile, it's just going to be in the center of mobile. But when I choose center, you can see that. Now I also have this background color, and that's this email background color right here. I could have that white, and then this everything that I have would just fade into the mass of white behind it. And this is fine. It's flat though, right? It's kind of flat. So that's why I actually like using a subtle background variation, right? Now you can actually have borders if you want one, right? And if you scroll down here, you can actually see border width, border color. So if I wanted to add a border to this, then you could actually see, did I apply that actually? Let me increase my maybe something to do with the template that I created in the first place, but you can actually create a border around the outside of this. Let me actually just start from scratch and add a new template and kind of show you the differences here. All right, so if I say, for instance, I want the body of my email, I want to be this blue color. But I want the text, like the background color in my sections here, to be white so that folks can read, right? I want to have images in here. I want to, let me go ahead and just swap this out and give you an image just so that we've got some clarity on what I'm talking about here. Um, so we can already see that there is a white background, right? We've got this blue, and then I've got this section here. So you see how this is just kind of disjointed looking? I can go over here to settings, and I can actually choose a border color for the entire email, and I can make it even a little bit bigger if I wanted to. And then you could frame it out that way, right? So you can have a border. You could also choose to not. I think all of the designs that I've created for you guys, that I'll be creating some additional variations of. So this leaf, soft floral, graphic gray, and minimalist. I'm going to come up with a couple of other sort of similarly themed, right? So these are all newsletters, but maybe we'll do one that's for event reminders in these different styles. Um, but here, let me show you. I didn't actually use the frame or the border for any of these, but you'll notice in all of them, and again, this is my preference for how I like to design. I use no email padding, and that's so you can actually get all the way to the edge with these images. I think it looks nice. And then you can, of course, adjust the block padding inside as an overall setting as well. And basically what that looks like is, it's just going to impact like where the text is. All right. Um, let's see what else. So yeah, in terms of where they show up, if you double click the background to your overall settings, you can choose whether or not it's left aligned versus centered right here. Okay, what if I'm sending them to the blog post or to a YouTube video? Yeah, so there's a couple of ways that you can do this. So let's just say you send a monthly or sorry, a weekly newsletter, and this would be an example of that, right? And so we've got this. This would be the same every week after you edit it. You say a little bit about what's going on this week, and then here is the actual image for your blog post, right? Or, maybe there's something about a YouTube video here. So basically what I would do if I was using this template is I would go over here and open Canva and I would open this up. And this is the name of my newsletter. So my weekly newsletter. And here's Jane. And so here's her blog post for this week. Maybe this week she's not talking about this pretty floral. Maybe this week she is talking about self-care. So here I'm going to go to elements. I'm going to search self-care. I'm going to go find a graphic. This one's great. I'll use it. There we go. I'm going to delete this one. I'll resize this and send it to the back. I'll also adjust its transparency because I do want it to kind of have that similar sort of soft fade like the rest do. I'll drag this up just a bit as well. Great. So uh, how to self-care, and this is going to be my favorite fall routines. Right? And so this would be the actual blog post, right? So I'd be creating this as a way to show my blog post. I would go ahead and download that and then swap that into here. Like if I'm going to send it. So let's just pretend, for instance, let me go ahead and swap out this image. All right, so this is where I make it my own. So this is officially set, good to go. Um, these are going to be swapped out week over week, right? And I've already got this set up. This is ready. So I'm going to save this, and this is going to be my weekly newsletter. So I'm going to save it. And then once I have that done, I can actually go over here to my dashboard. And let's say I'm preparing to actually send out a newsletter that talks about the blog post or maybe talks about a YouTube video. I might create something different for YouTube. Maybe I would take uh, I don't know, a thumbnail or, like a picture of me talking or some content of the video and do it that way. All right, here's my general mailing list, my newsletter tag. Here's my weekly newsletter. Great, there it is. And I also need to swap this image out because that is this week's blog post, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to find that. I believe that was this one. I can pop this in and then I can take this link right here and make sure that this is going to that blog post link, right? And then I've got this version ready. Maybe I'm preparing for this is going to go out in October. So if I'm sending on, let's see, October 6th is a Monday. So this is um, welcome to cozy season. And this is my newsletter name. And we could put some fun preview text in here. Um, open to learn my favorite fall routines. Right? So if I've got this is now going to my blog post, this is the image that I'm using to promote my blog post. And maybe I've got some more stuff here. I'm talking about other things that I'm doing, right? Make sure that's all good to go. Click done. And I'm going to schedule that to go out on the 6th at 9 a.m. Right? And you can see our title, you can see um, our preview text, and you can see it's all here and ready to go. So I can schedule that to go out. Okay, so that is how that would work. Let me see. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you guys here real quick. So maybe you use this and you want to actually, create a bunch of these because you bulk produced your blog posts, let's say. But maybe you want this to also like play into a post that you create for Instagram. So what if I were to resize this for Instagram, for an Instagram post? Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to copy and resize, and then I can then use a version of this for Instagram. And it's more or less how I would want it. I might switch things around just a little bit so that this looks better or different. What if I want to use this for my blog, like for my actual blog featured image? I could go over here and swap this around, and I'm going to go custom here. What is it? 1200 by 630, I think is the one that I like to use. I can then resize this. And this could be the image that once I have this done, the image that I actually use to promote this on my blog, right? So maybe I format this slightly differently. And then I've got a blog post featured image ready, right? So you can still play around with Canva and create all of those things and sort of utilize those same templates that you have for your newsletters for that purpose. All right, let's see. Oh, good question. All right, very excited about new email template design. Only have 5 contacts. How would you suggest I can generate more contacts and start building a list? Social media. Yeah, you want to be promoting your newsletter. Your newsletter think about your presence and how you show up is sort of like a breadcrumb trail, right? Where out on social media, you are sprinkling the crumbs, right? And the crumbs ideally should be so amazing and smell so good or whatever that they want to come a little closer and see where they can get an actual full piece of cake, right? And that cake is your content. And that plays into your newsletter. That is your blog, etc. And so when you're on social, you want to really be kind of promoting the cachet of being on your list, right? So, hey, if you like X, Y, and Z things, you can learn those from me. And you can learn those from me for free. I write an email every week, right? You could show up on social media and you can say, here's what I can say here, but the things I can't say here, I'm going to say over here. If you're on my list, here's the link. You can go get on my list, right? Think about, there are a lot of people who do this like on a paid basis, like people who use Substack, for instance, or Patreon. You could look at it that way, just see how people present themselves that way, but you do yours for free, right? And that's really the gist is like, get on the list, you get free things. Also, importantly, have something free that you're offering so that people feel compelled enough to say yes, right? So have a lead magnet that is attractive to your audience so that those people say, "Oh yeah, I want that from her and I'll give her my email address to do it." Because those people who get lead magnets from you are the people you get to send these messages to on a weekly basis to nurture them and help move them toward next steps with you. And of course, the whole cake is hiring you or working with you in whatever the capacity is that you offer. All right, Denny says, what is the best way to promote your newsletter or blog on a Facebook personal page so Facebook doesn't get mad at me? So I actually find using personal pages quite easy, so long as what you're doing is truly interactive, right? Social media platforms know how addictive they are, and they've known this for a very long time. And they incentivize behavior that helps encourage people to continue to engage with the addictive behavior, right? So that means that if you're active, they will show you. Right. This is why I generally don't recommend using post aggregators for social media, where you put in a month's worth of Facebook post or Instagram post or whatever, because even though yes, you can still technically reach that way. The algorithms aren't built to favor anyone except the people who are there keeping other people engaged because that's how they make their money. The more people that are there and scrolling, the more people will see the sponsored content and the ads, etc. That's how they make their money. So if you can show up and engage people in conversation, they'll start paying attention, right? It's really more about the subtleties than it is about the blatancies where it comes to using a personal profile on social media. Because really the subtleties are going to be, I'm having a conversation and you could say, well, if you were on my email list, you'd know about it. And then, let them ask you for it. Or you could say the link is in my bio or whatever, right? So I would think about it less about being promotion and more about it being sort of like a best kept secret, right? Where it's not really a secret, but like, hey, here's this thing that you probably, I mean, you should know about it. You don't know about it, right? Kind of think about it that way in sort of like a social capital perspective. And I think that you'll find some fun and effective ways to get people engaging with you in that direction. All right. Yeah, conversation at the end of the day. And actually, Denny, on Facebook in particular, of course, I built my expertise in this topic like it was right around the time that Instagram was being released, and I haven't really been on social media since in any meaningful way. So, but I will say this, and I've found this to continually be true with clients as well. If you can get people talking about themselves, you will get what you want. Right? So if you go to social media and you ask people to speak about how they feel or what they think, right? That will work. You will get engagement. People will see what you're doing, and the next post that you make is going to be more likely to be seen. So if the majority of the stuff that you're putting out there is here's my business, here's my business, here's my business, here's my business, people are going to tune you out, right? And when you get tuned out, the algorithm piles on and stops showing you to people, right? So if you show up and you say, hey, how are you today? Tell me in the comments, right? I know it's a weak example, but are you A or B? Let me know and tell me why. What's your favorite this? Let me know. Tell me why. And then as you're getting those conversations going and you start to see people interacting with one another in your threads, you're getting somewhere, right? And you can start mentioning, and again, this isn't about putting a link there. Have the link in a static place that people can find. Have a link in your bio, but let people know where they can go in the way that you're saying stuff, right? It's not about being explicit it's about what's implied. And that also it plays an interesting and important role in how you get people to take action as well. Because yes, like once somebody is on your website or somebody is has your newsletter in their inbox, you do want to tell them what to do, right? Click here, do this, read this, do that, right? You want to give specific direction at that point, but before you've got someone to that point, you want to give them space to feel like they made the discovery themselves, right? Give them something to be a little curious about and to set out and try to find. Because generally speaking, when someone didn't ask for something from you, they're going to be resistant if you just place it in front of them. But if you start a conversation that's adjacent to something that's interesting to them and you drop mention of something that should be interesting to them in context, they'll go find that thing and they'll be more serious about it than they would be if it was just placed in front of them in passing. I hope that that makes sense. Um, Yeah, yeah. And well, the thing is too, like, there's only so much we could do on social media, and that's really why it's all about creating conversation. Because if you can create the conversation, then people are paying attention. And then you could say, I'm continuing this conversation over here if you would like to come. I'm going to be talking about this on my website next week. You should check it out. And the people who are truly interested, they'll make their way there. But understand that those are very personal profile or otherwise, LinkedIn, Facebook, doesn't matter. Those are very, very shallow waters that you're dealing with. And your primary goal when you're on those platforms is to show up consistently enough to be found by enough people, and enough of the right people will follow you over to the deeper pool that you're trying to point them to. And that deeper pool begins on your website where you say, here's a thing I offer for free. Right. And even, we could take the traffic analogy over to SEO as well, right? Where people are Googling for things and they might find your blog post one day, right? Um, that is still fairly shallow water, but we're taking them to the deeper end where they say, oh, I would like that 5-page booklet, recipes, whatever guide that you're giving away. And that's getting them onto your list. And once they're on your list, the conversation changes, right? Their interaction with you changes, the implied trust level changes, all of that. So you are kind of out there in the shallow end saying it's really nice over here on the deeper side. If you're into these things, you should come over here. And you just let the people who are go. All right. Zoom user, can one go live in a discussion vault rather than on Zoom? At this point, no, it's on our wish list, but I struggle to imagine that it wouldn't be something Zoom related, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. That's not, I don't think that that's something that we are going to release like super soon if we have a fix for that. But really what I would say is this, if going live, if being live in a place is important to you, you are going to get better depth of engagement, right? You can get, again, just that shallow water comment I was making about social media. You can go live on social media and you can get some passing likes or views or thumbs ups or whatever. But people who say, I'm going to open this link in this software and sit and participate, those are people that want to give you money. Like those are people who trust you. Those are people who are right for you. So I basically the argument that I'm making here is that using Zoom to do something live inside of a vault, while it might not give you the same vanity numbers that a social media live would, it will give you greater depth and immediate understanding of the people who are ready, right? And the people who are truly engaged. And I feel like that is better intelligence for your business, and it gives you something more substantive to act on and make your decisions. I hope that that helps, but it is on our wish list. I do want you to know that that's on our wish list. I don't know how we're going to approach it, but it's there. All right, using video in the email templates. Yeah, okay, let me just show you that real quick, and we will talk about this in greater detail next week. So we are not Loom, and Loom is really the only service that I'm aware of that allows you to put a true email or true video into email. But let's say that you do have a video, um, and this would be the case for Yulia as well. That was a question that she had too. So if she had a YouTube video, or if she had this or that. So if I wanted to add a video here, I'm going to go edit this. If I wanted to basically draw attention to a video that I created, I could go over here and I'm going to use a text section, and I'm going to go to edit it. And just like you would have done previously in our email editor, you can go to add video. And you can actually go and select maybe. I'll use this one here. And I'm going to let it just go straight to where the video is embedded. Or if this video is embedded somewhere else on my website or in my member area, etc., I can choose where it goes. Now, when I add that video to email, this obviously this you can't see like what was going on here, but there is this is a GIF. This is actually animated. So if you're talking, it's going to kind of show a little bit of you talking or the screen changing or what have you. And so you can put it here just like I did. And when they click it, it will take them to whatever that link is that you chose, or it'll just go straight to a video on your website that just has this video. So you can use video. You can see where it just blinked there. And that's how I would use it. But you also have, and again, get into more of this next week. But if we were to go and we wanted to add an image, you also can add images if you don't have them in your library yet from Pixabay. So if I wanted to put an image of a forest and search, these are royalty-free images that you can use. I could drop this in. And you could even take the that image and use that frame feature that I showed you guys a bit ago, um, which is just so super cool. Okay, I don't know what I just did there with that, but um, I think you know what I did? I still had code for the video there. Anyway, but you've got these GIFs here as well. Oh my God, look, there's Chris Farley right up there at the top. How fun. But here you could just put this little happy birthday guy in there. He'll take up the whole section. He's dancing. Again, always make sure no matter what you do, use that alternative text so people know what it is just in case it doesn't show up well for them, especially in mobile. Speaking of mobile, preview, right? You can make sure that it shows up exactly as you want it. All right. We will again be getting into design in detail next week. Big recommendation if you're going to be joining us for that is to make sure that you have your brand colors picked out, right? Make sure that you go into Canva, you've got those maybe uploaded to a brand kit or you've got a brand guideline at the very least so that you've got a palette ready to pull from because we're going to be using those to make some really great templates for next week. Alicia, it is true that using images in email can impact your delivery rates in a negative way. That's why it's really important for you to make sure that you have more text than you have email, that you use images very deliberately for very specific purposes, right? Where you can use text instead of email, it will be in your favor in terms of deliverability. So make sure that you aren't just willy-nilly just adding a bunch of images. And then also really critically, you want to use the alternate text. Now, next week, I'm going to be walking through how to use mail tester. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create our brand templates, our core brand templates that we're going to be using for all of the purposes that we need to email from in our business. And then I'm going to be showing you how you can actually take those and test them for deliverability, test them for any kind of issues before you start using them to send out your messages to your list. So be sure to join us next week for that. And we look forward to seeing you guys then. Take care, everybody.